Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of The Road Less Traveled, A New Psychology of Love, Traditional Values, and Spiritual Growth, by Morgan Scott Peck. It's been a while since I've asked you this question. According to Life is Difficult, Scott Peck writes in The Road Less Traveled, which he begins by stating, at first glance, Peck's claim seems absurdly pessimistic. To avoid pain and discomfort, many of us think it is best to avoid problem-solving and confronting our challenges. Our predisposition towards suppressing our feelings of despair and discomfort means that we tend to avoid pain whenever possible. Numerous studies, on the other hand, show that avoiding pain actually increases our subsequent grief and sadness. The road less traveled encourages us to take a detour, a road that's full of bumps, potholes, and the potential for getting lost. Our spiritual growth will be exponential if we don't take the easy way out and instead opt for these difficult paths. We can learn from Scott Peck's professional experience as a psychiatrist about coping techniques for dealing with life's challenges and setbacks. Over 7 million copies have been sold of The Road Less Traveled, making it an international bestseller. The book also made the Guinness Book of World Records just 5 years after it was published in the New York Times. Shortly put, few self-help books have achieved this level of acclaim. This summary will briefly take you down the road less traveled. Even though it's an ominous read, it sheds light on how people's minds evolve and how to deal with setbacks when they do come their way. This book's life-changing strategies and insights have helped many people grow and adapt to their daily hardships and struggles. Love, discipline, suffering, and evil are all examined in this timeless classic, which also provides insight into mental illness, stress, and everyday crises. No one is immune to the ups and downs that life throws at them, and we'd be fools to think otherwise. Understanding the concepts in this book will help us achieve a state of increased serenity and inner peace, so that we can begin to experience the richness and excitement of everyday life. Life is difficult. The central tenet is that life is difficult and that the path to spiritual enlightenment and fulfillment is long. For spiritual growth and self-awareness, there are no shortcuts. This may make the lessons in this book seem laborious at times. As the adage goes, change doesn't happen overnight and Rome wasn't built in a day. The first step on the road less traveled is to accept that life is complicated. As long as we can accept that life isn't and shouldn't be easy, we'll be better equipped to deal with the challenges that come our way. So we need to accept life's difficulties and then take responsibility for all of our problems and hardships. How often do you say things like, "I'll sort that out later," or "I'll confront her some other time"? There is no solution to problems other than confronting them head-on, and this book teaches us to do just that because problems never go away on their own accord. Take Alcoholics Anonymous as an example. Admitting that one has no control over alcohol and that one's life has spiraled out of control is the first step in any problem-solving endeavor. Many alcoholics experience feelings of denial prior to joining Alcoholics Anonymous. To deal with their issues, they must first accept responsibility for them. As difficult as it may be, taking the first step towards recovery necessitates a great deal of courage and self-control. The next step reminds us that change does not happen overnight, and overcoming one's problems requires a great deal of effort. Discipline is necessary, to put it simply. In many cases, we begin the process of change or personal growth, but then lose the willpower or strength and end up right back where we started off. There is a lot of emphasis in this book on the importance of self-discipline in all aspects of our health, whether it's emotional or psychological or spiritual or physical. However, we also need to keep an eye on the truth and maintain a healthy sense of balance and moderation in our actions and thoughts. With decisions, there aren't any shortcuts. We must take into account all the variables and how our actions will affect not only ourselves but others as well. Then there's the concept of delayed gratification, which is one of the pillars of self-discipline. In order to better understand delayed gratification, consider Jackie and Nick as an example. In order to allow Jackie and Nick to open their gifts on the evening of Christmas Day, their parents had to work each and every year around the holiday season. Throughout the day, they saw other children playing with their gifts and awaited the arrival of their parents home from work so that they could begin celebrating. As soon as the day's work was finished, the family would sit down to open presents. With the passage of time, each member of the family began to look forward to the ritualized chat that preceded the opening of Christmas presents. Because they were able to hold on to the experience, the family grew closer, enjoyed long conversations, and appreciated their gifts more. It's become a Christmas tradition for Jackie and Nick's parents, even though they've retired, to put off opening presents and instead spend time catching up over a cup of tea. In order to achieve lasting change, We must all accept that it will take time and effort, and that we will need the support of others to help us along the way. The company of others is important, but we must be careful not to overemphasize love as the guiding light to endless happiness. Everyone knows that love is what keeps the world turning. When it comes to love, we've been told a lot, and we're often told that we won't be truly happy until we find true love. It's a problem because love can cause people to lose their identity and sense of purpose. For Peck, the essence of love is the ability to see one's partner as a unique individual with his or her own unique story to tell. This isn't just about our romantic partners, it applies to everyone with whom we have a relationship. Self-love is an essential part of enlightened and fulfilled life, which must be nurtured constantly. Although this chapter is difficult and requires a lot of self-reflexivity, it provides valuable information about re-evaluating our relationships. We can use parenting as an illustration. When it comes to your personality, are you more like your parents or more like yourself? Consider Sarah and Sophie, a mother and daughter duo. When it comes to gender roles, Sarah is a stickler. She expects her daughter to do the housework, cook, and find a good husband who will provide for her. Instead of staying at home with her parents, Sophie plans to attend college and earn money to support her goals. The result is that Sarah and Sophie are constantly at odds and unable to communicate effectively. Sarah feels constantly disappointed and as if she has failed as a mother, and Sophie feels constantly guilty and isolated from her mother. No matter how much they care for one another, they can't reconcile their feelings for each other with the idea that love can exist in two places at the same time. Although we wish it, we can't expect our loved ones to be exactly like us in every way. We gain greater self-awareness as a result of actively engaging in and learning from our relationships. Love isn't about dependency, it's about freedom, and one of the most important lessons is that we need to be more sensitive and understand the differences between ourselves and others. All parties must work together to keep the flame of love burning strong. You're taking a chance on love when you fall in love. Being in love has the potential to bring about great pain, which makes it a risk. Have you ever heard the phrase love is a verb? Despite popular belief, the hard work and dedication it takes to be in love is not something that can be taken lightly. Psychiatrists use the term cathexis when discussing the process of psychotherapy. Our feelings of connection to someone or something can be felt when we're in love. Emotional involvement can be a powerful motivator for action. No, I don't have anything special in my collection. Is there anyone you met for the first time and felt a connection to immediately? Cathecting often clouds our judgment, and the lesson here is that faithful and long-lasting love is about commitment and working towards long-term solutions. When two people don't put in the effort to make a relationship work, it usually ends in divorce. All of the emotions we feel when we cathect are embodied in them, because of their faith in the mythology of love that they hold. To truly understand love, we must put in the time and effort into our relationships and be honest with ourselves and our partners. Religiosity is a way of thinking. A worldview is a way of thinking about religion in the second half of the book, according to the author. For Peck, a divine deity is behind grace, and when life gets tough, spirituality fills in the blanks and makes sense of everything that's unclear. The idea here is that every human has a religion, and here it's worth using the synonym worldview. The idea of a worldview is that every culture and society has standards and beliefs that enable us to live our lives more critically. Where do you stand on faith? Your lack of belief in anything is highly unlikely. As stated, we are all guided by a worldview or belief system. Religion can either be a barrier or a tool in the quest for self-actualization, according to Peck, who illustrates this point with a wide variety of case studies and examples. There are many misconceptions about religion, and many of our reactions to it are based on cultural and social norms. Because of this, our understanding of religion varies depending on whether it has been used against or for us. With religion comes the idea of grace. This is seen in terms of our conscious and unconscious, and how we allow openness and a sense of purpose to flow through us. It's a protective force that allows a sense of security and well-being, according to the author. Because some people can handle trauma, while others have a hard time, what's the reason for this disparity? A force and an instinct protect us in order to ensure our survival, according to the author. Our beliefs and spirituality become more powerful the more we listen to and interact with them. Peck gives numerous examples of everyday miracles and claims that the miracles described indicate that our growth as human beings is being assisted by a force other than our conscious will. Getting there. As we work toward our goals and address issues, we need to be disciplined. Maintaining self-control requires eradicating feelings of inertia. Most people associate laziness with failing to put forth the necessary effort, postponing important tasks, or not going for that run you had planned. We tend to jump to conclusions or make poor decisions because of laziness, which comes in many forms. If Adam and Eve had pondered the consequences of eating the apple in the Garden of Eden more thoroughly, they might have made different decisions. Spending time solving problems and not being lazy with internal and external conversations is the gift of rational thinking. Many of us are also unwilling to work on our thinking or seek out more information. As a final point, there are a lot of stories about traveling by road and meeting people you meet on the way. All things being equal, the path of least resistance is usually followed by a group of people who are also on the same path. When it comes to the road less traveled, it's not just about your own personal journey and spiritual growth, but also about the experiences of other people and the ways they have overcome adversity. That's not to say that everyone succeeds in overcoming difficulties. In many cases, people have refused or lost interest in the process of making changes. Recognizing that life is difficult and unfair is the first step toward overcoming these challenges. Everything else will fall into place if you are committed and accept responsibility for everything in your life after you've done this. Living with and overcoming the challenges of mental illness can be difficult for many reasons. However, once we realize this, we can remove our rose-tinted glasses and get down to the business of becoming happier and more fulfilled. To get to where you want to go in life, you must travel slowly and carefully, accepting and embracing pain and suffering along the way. This is true for all endeavors in life. Problems do not go away, as Peck puts it. Otherwise, the obstacles to spiritual growth and development will remain in place for the rest of our lives. So, how are you going to regain control and bravely choose the path less taken? Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.